Hey everyone, Spicy Toast Gaming here. Hope you're having a great week so far, and I hope this video can make it a little bit better. It's the start of a new week, so it's time for a new set of weekly adventures. We have a 0.5, a 2.5, and a 3.5 star adventures. For the 0.5 up against Ezreal, we have no looking back. While the player has no cards in their hand, they have 2/2. This is a terrible power. Don't try playing around this. Your cards are essentially your tools and options in a fight. Getting rid of all of them means that you have no way to answer whatever the enemy is doing. Intentionally getting rid of all of your cards is not a good idea. And this effect is only active while you have no cards in your hand. So as soon as you accidentally draw one card, then this effect goes away. It's not worth working around. So just completely ignore this and play whoever you want for a half-star adventure. For the 2.5, we have Darius with Power of Observation. So game start, all players, so you and the enemy, summon a Hextech Observatory. You see that right here. Each round, the first time you play a spell, refill mana equal to its cost. So this is essentially Lux's star power on anyone. So really any of your spells-based champions will really like this, although pretty much every champion in the game has a decent amount of spells. So you just want to try to play a spell every single round if you can, and the spells-based champions will have a better time doing that. We also have Sovereign's Domination. Round start, the foe summons a ephemeral copy of the player's strongest follower that died last round. So really what you want to be trying to do is just not have any of your units die. So probably stay away from the Shadow Isles decks for this one, as well as some of the decks that normally have a lot of units die, such as like Misfortune or potentially Poro King. And this is a good time to break out a lot of those decks that normally have units survive the entire game. So Garen, I find, is pretty good with this. Kayn can be decent here. Leona, just any champion that you find your units don't normally die. And if they have some solid spells, that would be a good pickup for this adventure. And honestly, that is a large amount of the champions, but that is what you want to be looking for this one. Now the 3.5 up against Gangplank. We have on the case, the foe's units have Nexus Strike, plant one Flash Bomb trap in the top 8 cards of the player's deck. Undying Rage, each round, the first time the foe's units would die, grant them Tough, Overwhelming Fearsome instead, and then that Vicious Enemy. So you want to be doing your best to keep the enemy from being able to hit your Nexus. Now this is Nexus Strike, not Nexus Damage, so the enemy does have to actually hit your Nexus with their units. So if they just do a spell, such as like a warning shot that hits your Nexus, that won't trigger the on the case. They have to actually have their units hit your Nexus. So either want to go for someone that has very strong board presence, especially early. So some people like Aatrox or Garen could be pretty good there. Or you potentially want to go for a more CC focused champion where you can just keep the enemy from getting those strikes off. So going for maybe someone like Morgana, Ashe, Yasuo, you can just keep the enemy from being able to hit your Nexus. That would also be a very good option here. For the Undying Rage, one thing I recommend, especially against Gangplank himself, is try to kill their very weak and small units first, such as like the Powder Keg that Gangplank summons every round. Since that Powder Keg has vulnerable, you can easily have one of your units start the attack challenging it. So essentially you try to kill that first, and that way all of the other times you would try to kill the enemy that round, those would actually go through. But this one can be quite annoying. You want to try to have a lot of removal because essentially the first time you kill you in every round, it's not going to count. So you need to have even more ways you can try to take down the enemy. Also, you don't necessarily need to kill enemy units. If you have a strategy where you could just ignore them and still hit the enemy Nexus, that would work out well. So either going for Overwhelm and just having big enough units that you don't care if the enemy blocks you, you still have enough damage to punch through and destroy their Nexus. Or you could try to go for Elusives, or maybe go for just a CC heavy deck where the enemy is completely frostbitten or stunned, and so they're not able to block your attack. A lot of different ways you can deal with this one, but this is a modifier that you really need to go in with a plan on how you're going to deal with it. Overall this week just seems fine. The half star, it's one of the worst modifiers in the game, so a little annoying that we got that, but the 2.5 seems fine, and then the 3.5, while it is the unyielding, again, it just seems fine. The week's not really, or the weekly adventures aren't really blowing me away. They don't seem like they're going to be that much fun to do, but at the same time, they don't seem like they'll be overly annoying to deal with either. Let me know what you think of these weeklies in the comments down below. If you have any tips for your fellow players, definitely list those down below. But I hope you all have a great day and a great start to your week.